yeah, I mean, we have to admit that that's subjective.
Yeah.
Some people like torture. I'm not into that, right? I'm not gonna tell you that you don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm just saying that I wouldn't want like the federal government to mandate, every
torture.
Tuesday as torture day, and you're required to take part in
That's
it.
a great analogy. I think that's
it's flawless.
That's a flaw. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the progress things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jesse Kazam.
And I'm Veritas. I got nothing clever to say today.
Oh, nothing. Oh, what's up, man? How you doing? I saw you were playing some Subnautica.
Yeah, man. It's one of those games that's like was always on my sort of video game bucket list. Never really.
Oh yeah.
Checked it out.
Deadly's been playing it all week, so I've been watching him play it a little bit.
Yeah, somebody said that they just watched Deadly finish it the other day, and I was like, I played, I went hard on Magic.
Yeah.
For a while, and then a new set came out. But there's just like so many cards, and it's like overwhelming. So got to get up to date with that. And yeah, I was just like, I need something.
Yeah,
need something to play.
Something to fill the void.
Had such a good time with Outer Wilds that I'm like, maybe I'll try another one of those kind of exploration-esque sort of. And all I'll say is like, it's one of those games that you if you don't know anything about it, the game that you end up playing is not the game that you started playing.
Okay.
Yeah. There's just a whole lot of like, wait, what the? Like, did you ever watch Lost?
Yes.
It's like Lost is a TV show where it's like you'd think that they're stranded on a desert island and they're trying to survive, and then all of a sudden there's a polar bear.
Yeah.
And then and then there's a hatch, and then
code.
like time travel. It's the show that it became was not the show that you started with. And I feel like Subnautica has definitely got those vibes, and not just because of all the water.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah, I don't know how long the playthrough is going to be. I didn't realize it was like base building and
yeah.
So yeah, just going through the progression of that's addicting, and I've just been watching from the sidelines all the stuff that's going on with Tarkov, because I'm taking another break.
Yeah, understandable. Very understandable. I think a lot of people are, and I think that's honestly a good decision. I've been like thinking about it, man. It's I'm like reckoning with my own, like, I've just never played another game for more than like a few days on stream. So I don't know. I think it's like, it's a combination of like me being confronted with like it's a combination of like me trying to like min-max and be all meta about it as like my career. But then I think there's also a part of it of just like confronting the fear of like playing another game. You know what I mean? And then like dropping half your viewers or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like I've thought about playing some DayZ or some Rust or something like that, because those are games I'm like watching a lot. So I'm interested in. I wanted to play I've been wanting to play Star Citizen. But that game is just like, everyone that plays it is like, wait. And so I'm like, okay, this is the 0.13 patch, the first few months of that version of Star Citizen, where everybody's like, just wait a little bit, so yeah. And then everyone's playing Minecraft.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, there's something freeing about being like, I'm just gonna lose 600 viewers and then just vibe. And then, it's like, it's a totally different environment too, just in the stream, because it really is all of the people that are there to watch you play,
For sure.
And my mods were joking that it had been like 3 weeks or something since we banned anybody.
Oh,
which is like normally it was like 10 a day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
A day in the Tarkov category.
Yeah, and actually we banned one person, and it was during the podcast last week. It's like, well, we go to the Tarkov category, and
yeah. Yep. No, I get that. I get that. And I'm sure there'd be a lot to like, I guess from the streamer brain side of it, there's a lot to like learn from that, from like, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to do that. And then you come back and, you know, most of the viewers come back, you know what I mean? It's not like you lose everyone forever, but I guess I've just never ventured out very far. You know what I mean? We do, you know, a few Star Citizen streams here and there. You know, we did, you know, some New World streams here and there, but we've never ventured too far away. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm just...
It's kind of like you got to rip off the Band-Aid, too, like the way I look at it, because, you know, some people start off, you know, like Deadly, you know, or Cotton, or a lot of those other guys who started off as like variety streamers, and then they're able to just play whatever and retain, you know, a much larger audience. But like, you know, you see some of the big names, even in like that blew up in Tarkov, they go play other games, and there's just like 10-15% of their viewership. And
that's the thing. Like, I look at guys like Deadly and Clean, and I'm like, man, they did it so well. Like, they were able to break away in a really positive way, where like Deadly's fostered a stronger community than he ever had when he was maining Tarkov, just like being able to bounce around and stuff like that. It's like, of course, there's a lot to it, a lot more to it than people realize. But I think, like, I'm always justifying it in my brain through the lens of like I guess a good way to put it is like, I don't feel like I'm a big enough content creator to be able to afford the hump that comes, you know what I mean? For an extended period of time, for a week, but for 2 or 3 months, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very blessed, you know what I mean? But kids aren't cheap. And like, you know, wow, that's why I'm like so serious about YouTube and like diversifying and doing all this kind of stuff, because I want to make sure that, so it's like, so there's that part of it too. Like, we were so poor before when I started streaming. There's like, I was just like this irrational fear that lives in the back of my mind that like, if you lose, you know, and I know I overthink it. I'm a very, very classic overthinker, but it's like, if I lose the X amount of this and X amount of subs, well, then this, and then we start getting really bad. And if I can't get it back, then it's GG's, it's over. And I have to, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's really easy for all that to like, it's subconscious, right? Like, I should probably speak to a BetterHelp therapist about this, but like, all that stuff is just so deep and so rooted. We were so poor for so long that it's like, it's hard to, it would be one thing if I was like, not that viewers are everything. I think that people that listen to the podcast understand that. But if I was at 2,000 viewers on average, you know what I mean? And then we played some other games and we were at 1,000 or 1,100, that's one thing. But, you know, I don't know. So, but I want to. But long term, I don't want to be tied to Tarkov. I don't want to just be a Tarkov guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's always been the goal long term to do that. It's just like finding the time, finding the game, finding the, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you get the sunk cost fallacy where it's like, do you keep trying to grow in the single category, like make the pillar larger, and then it's like you can switch now and it would be less of a hit, and potentially easier to grow wider, or you cannot switch now and grow more vertically, and then if something happens where someone comes out of nowhere and, you know, like blows up the category, or a new game comes out, you know, like that's the other thing too. Imagine a Tarkov 2.0 comes out. And now all the Tarkov people switch over, right? Well, now it's like there's going to be a bunch of the top Tarkov people all then competing with like Jack Frags or all these other names that weren't Tarkov people that have, you know, potentially big audiences. But I mean, it's totally like what you're talking about is we all experience it, and it's completely, totally rational, because you can't know what the outcome's going to be. You know, like there have been times where I took a break and then I come back to Tarkov on like a Monday after taking, some time off. And for some reason, it's like I'm at 1,300 viewers. And it's like, and that might have been a day that like Glorious and Willers didn't stream. Or whatever. Or it could be reasons that I don't know. And then there are other days where after a break I come back and it's like 200 people and you're like, oh, it's kind of sucks a little bit. But then the next day it's 600 and the next day it's 700 and you're like, oh, okay, I still got it. Like I can leave and come back. But that worked once or twice, but will it work the third time or the fourth time? You know?
100%. There's an infinite amount of questions and you don't know until you just do it. And I know that there'd be a lot to learn from doing that. The other thing is I wish I streamed longer. I think that's part of it too, is like I stream for almost like, it's like 5 to 6 hours every day, whether it's a morning stream or a night stream, because I choose to. I'm not like chained to that, because I want to make sure that I'm there for dinner and to help with the kids around that time of the day. But I wish if I streamed like 8, 10, 12 hours, it's a lot easier to do like Tarkov for 6 hours and then like hop off and do something else. You know what I mean? Like once you've got that momentum going. But it's much harder to do that like 2 hours of something and 2 hours of something else, or 2 hours of something and 3 hours of something else. You know what I mean?
You see, like the growth of the viewers over time. That graph is like, unless you're view botting and it's like, but like you see, this kind of trend, upwards.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times I actually don't fully understand exactly how Twitch handles like lurkers and whatever, but like if you're playing Tarkov, the numbers are going to go up and then people are going to fall asleep. They're going to keep the tab up and they're going to go out to dinner with their family, whatever. So it sucks, but like if you play Tarkov for 3 hours and then switch over to another game, you're going to have like twice as many viewers than if you started that game at the time you started that game, but didn't stream from before. So it's like, it's not even just such a meta,
for sure. And it's not even that it's necessarily like an insidious meta where you're taking advantage of the people who are lurking. The reality is like, I am that as a viewer for Deadly. When I first start, just like everybody, like I don't make any assumptions. Like a lot of people watch me because they want to see Tarkov and they're like my take on Tarkov, right? That was me for Deadly. Like I only wanted to I remember back in the day when Deadly would do variety, I would never watch him. But the more I watched Deadly, the more I bought into Deadly. And it's just a really tried and true thing where he hops on Tarkov. I want to watch him play Tarkov. I watch him play Tarkov, and then he swaps to SnowRunner. I wouldn't necessarily go to twitch.tv, enter, and then see Deadly playing SnowRunner, click on it. But I'm watching and he swaps, and then he gets some laughs out of me, and then I'm like, oh, that was hilarious. Like that's how, right? Like it's not even that it's like a bad meta. That's also how you do it. It's like, if you're here for me and for Tarkov, I get it. It's a much easier deal to just it's harder to get somebody to click on your stream when you're playing something else. But if they're there and then you're out and then it's funny or it's cool or you're like, yo, what's this? Like there's more buy-in. And so Clean did it. Deli did it. And people outside of the Tarkov community, it makes a lot of sense to like, bring it, because that's the
whole
thing.
It's a marketing funnel.
Yeah,
you want to have the biggest number at the top to get the biggest number out at the bottom.
Exactly.
So that's why a lot of times where I'm in the Tarkov category when we do the podcast, and if I'm not playing Tarkov, like the numbers go up as soon as as soon as we start doing the podcast, because there's more people that are interested in hearing both of us together talk about Tarkov than watching like me play Subnautica.
Yeah,
but there's also like an interesting thing where when the podcast is over and I switch over to Subnautica, it's not that I'm trying to like somehow take advantage of the lurk. But what it is if I can switch over to Subnautica in 45 seconds of the podcast ending, people might be like, what's this? This is interesting. And now you're adding to the
100%.
Foundation where you might have had 100 people watch normally, but now you've got 150.
100%.
Right? And now 10 of those might be regular core people,
Exactly. So there's a lot to it, and it's not, and it's, you know what I mean? And I don't ever, when I talk about this stuff, I don't ever do it out of I do it out of a respect for the grind of streamers like Deadly, not out of I'm not like, woe is me, I'm shackled to Tarkov. Like, I know that I could play another game and that there'd be a core audience there. I do want to figure out how to do it the best that I can. You know what I mean? It's always weird when streamers talk about this and I even saw some people in chat, like, not even in an offensive way, asking, like, do numbers get to your head? Like, it's not like, it's just really hard to understand unless you're on this side of it, how much numbers and subs and bits and how revenue and sponsorships, and it's hard to understand how interlinked they all are if you're not in it. And the thing I've always wanted to commit it to is I don't want you to ever have to worry. I don't want you as the viewer to ever have to worry about that. I don't want to put myself in a position, if that position could be avoided, where I'm like, oh, I've got to do a subathon because I can't pay my bills. that's why I'm very hesitant about doing it. It's because like I know I could, and I know a lot of you guys would support me if I swapped to another game. It's I want to be the one to worry about this. I don't ever want you to ever have to worry about if you can sub, if you can prime, if you can donate. I want to shield that. I want that to be on this side of the camera, because what I'm providing for you is just entertainment. You know what I mean? And so like, if you choose to click that button, I want it to be because you feel like I've provided enough value. So that plays into it. Sure, I could do 3 weeks of DayZ right now, and some people would watch, and I would get some new people. But if I know that at the end of that 3 weeks, I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to pay bills or whatever, then I say, hey, my family and these things are more important. And I know a lot of what I'm trying to do is build myself some insulation.
Yeah.
And then use that insulation to dabble around and play some other games. Maybe find something that the Tarkov people vibe with, and then we can go from there. So it's not like it's never that I feel shackled to it or I feel frustrated or jealous of. I mean, I'm jealous in the sense that like, man, Deadly, you crushed it. Like you did it. And now what you have is what I want, but not like a. So it's a lot to it. So when we talk about it, it's never like, yeah, we never want the viewers to feel weird about it because ultimately, if you really get down to it, like it's all my own doing, right? Like I built the Tarkov funnel. So if you only want to see me play Tarkov, it's because that's the funnel I built, right? I made a YouTube channel, I made the TikTok, I made this, I'm posting all the things. So my expectation of you is never that I would be like, well, come watch me play DayZ. I hope that you will, but that's not the expectation. All the funnel I built was Tarkov, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a complicated thing, and there's a lot to it. And there's like the mental is pros and cons. You know what I mean? Like I see you vibing with Subnautica or Diablo, and you're like enjoying gaming in a way that maybe I'm not enjoying gaming right now. You know what I mean? Because I'm in the Tarkov sphere. But then I also know that I would have other mental struggles if I, so it's like there's just a lot to it.
And I'm in a slightly different position, just because like I went from being equivalent with my wife and both making really really good money because she's a pharmacist and she's like moving up the ranks, and she's a giga chad at her job. But now I mean she's completely totally like the breadwinner. and like I have there's no shame.
Yeah, not at all.
She got her goddamn doctorate degree, you know what I mean?
Damn.
Like she earned it. Now then again, there's also like if there's ever a chance of us making $1 million, it would be becoming like a big YouTuber. Like that's the way, you know. So it's kind of like the risk return reward, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I no one can or should blame content creators for like making the decisions that they feel like makes sense for them given their situations. Really quick though, this is kind of an interesting thing that I think is worth talking about while we're on the subject. I haven't done a ton of research about this, but the idea of people embedding streams on websites, and how, I mean, there are some folks that are, they went from being 80, 100 viewer, folks in the Tarkov community, to now they're getting 1,300 viewers in other categories. It's like it's hard
because there's like layers of it. The layers might be closer than most people think, but there's layers. There's people that like pay to like embed a single pixel of their stream on popular websites, and that's like you couldn't ever make a case that was not sketchy, right? You know what I mean? Like you couldn't even ever make a case. But there's other examples of people who embed on proper websites or even on other external content that they themselves built. I think at the end of the day, though, I just don't know the value that comes from that long term. You know what I mean? Like, I guess there's like, the Twitch ad
thousands
incentives
of dollars
and stuff like that is a big one. But like sans that, I don't know. Because even sponsorships, like a lot of times they want to know what the engagement was during a stream. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's like if you have 1,300 viewers and over the course of 4 hours, 4 people chat. I don't know, you might be able to bag 1 or 2 sponsors on that before people are like, dude, you know what I mean? The ad incentive thing is huge because the difference between 100 viewers and 1,400 viewers running, especially if you know what you're doing, you're running like 7, 8, 9 minutes of ads an hour. Like that is not an insignificant amount of money. You know what I mean?
Even with my lowest viewer numbers playing chess and Magic the Gathering and Subnautica, it's my mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And that we're talking about 10% of what my viewership could be. Now, also, you got to, so there's that, but then there's also the idea of, because you're higher up in the category, that also helps snowball.
That is true. That's true.
To some degree, it's just more it's more in the top of the funnel.
That's very true.
But then there's the aspect when you're talking about advertisers. If you're personally talking with like an advertiser, right? That's like one thing where they might want to be interested in the engagement or whatever. But I mean, like, so many of the partnerships or the relationships that exist, like one of the relationships I have is with a guy that works at a company. I don't even know really much about the company. I just know every couple of months he says, yo, would you be interested in doing a masquerade vampire thing? And it's like, it'll be $900 for 2 hours. You want to do that? And it's like, I'm thinking, well, I got like 150 viewers these days. I'm playing Magic. I'll get paid $450 an hour to play a game, even if the game is like half fun. For a couple of hours, and you're so far removed from whoever's paying you, either the developers or if it's like Surfshark or whatever right? Like, you're so far removed so nobody chats. The worst thing that can happen is they never give you a deal again, but there's 100 companies out there that all are looking for content creators to sponsor. You could kind of go through and underperform on every single one and still
make the bag.
Make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 extra a year. So
I don't know.
It's not insignificant for sure, and it depends on how you play the game
for sure.
But
it's interesting.
I don't know.
I'm surprised.
The reason why I brought it up is because there's always been the thought in my head, and people have mentioned it too. Now that I got my new laptop, I started doing a couple of, I don't know if I'll end up finishing it or whatever, but a couple of updates to Battle Buddy.
Gotcha.
And it's like, that's got 800,000 fucking downloads. I'm like, dog, imagine if I just if I did the 1 pixel embed in my app. I would have like 20,000 viewers, dude. It would be like so blatant. But it's like not technically against the rules.
No, it's not.
So really, it's like, I would be the other people in the category to some extent, whatever you could argue with, either it's big or it's small, and like Amazon, like, but that's just like a line I don't think I would want to cross. Not because I'm saying it's like necessarily unethical or whatever. I haven't really thought much about it, but just because it's like, I don't even like to, I don't want to be remotely close to having to defend the ethics.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is like, I'd never put my foot down and be like, if somebody's doing it, I think that person's a piece of garbage, but personally, I wouldn't do it. Does that make sense? So it's like, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but it's like, it's weird. And I'm just surprised that, like, I guess on the Twitch end that's, I don't know how that would happen, but I feel like on the back end, wouldn't Twitch know if a viewer was coming, I guess, from an external site versus like actually native on the app or the site? And I'm just surprised they don't treat those viewers differently, but I don't know how they would treat them. You know what I mean? It's like, do you count each one as like
don't count them.
a 10th of a viewer? Like, you know what I mean? Or just don't count them.
Well, see, the thing is that, I mean, technically it's not even coming from Amazon. It's coming from the advertisers. Pepsi doesn't know. Pepsi doesn't know that their ad is getting served to 1,000 people who are on a wiki. And they don't see the stream muted in 1 pixel behind, So
yeah. And also, I feel like Twitch is probably cool with it because it makes them look better. Because it like when they're selling to advertisers, they're saying we have this many eyeballs on the channel. You know what I mean? So especially since a lot of times those websites, 5 decently sized, embed sites can add 10, 15, 20,000 viewers to Twitch at any given singular moment. So like that kind of benefits them in another way too. Yeah.
It's the same kind of argument that people say about like when the cheaters in Tarkov get banned, they buy another account.
Yeah.
It's like I fully don't believe that BSG is hoping like that's their primary source of income is getting cheaters to rebuy accounts, right? Like that. Yeah. But the fact that it happens,
it does happen. Like, yeah, for sure.
Oh well, so it's like I feel like Twitch is just kind of like, don't really look into it. Don't. Don't, because ultimately, bigger numbers means more money for us, means more money for them.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I don't know.
All right, bro. And embed us in the in the app.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm actually considering it wouldn't be like a 1 pixel hidden thing, but if I did, I would actually do like a remote switch on like my back end where I could turn it off. Just in case, like if one day I go live play Subnautica and I have 12,000 viewers, I'm like, like just set the flag to false on the server so it hides, it doesn't load the Twitch page anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting stuff for sure. I honestly haven't put too much thought into it ever because I just don't have time to really, but it's can I buy a pixel on Battle.net? But it's interesting. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if one of the things I want to update is since they changed the logic behind the overflow blacked out limb damage.
Yeah.
It went from being bugged in one way to then they fixed 85% of the cases.
Yeah.
And there's still a couple of edge cases, so I have to rewrite a little bit of the ballistic stuff to make I just hate that the calculators are not exactly right now. I mean, at this point they're still close enough that most of the cases they're going to give you the right information, but it like really bothers me. But for a bunch of technical reasons it's actually kind of annoying to update that. But then but then at the same time I'm like, if I'm going to do that, I kind of want to just put a pop-up in there that's like one time, was like, hey, this app is free, you want to support, whatever, and maybe it's $10 a year or something like that, and it's like because 800,000 downloads, I mean,
that's unbelievable. Yeah.
There's money there, right? And I also think that there's also value there, right? It's not like I'm begging for donations. No, it's like, build the for free and there's no ads. So
I know that's what I'm saying. Like you're a freaking gem of a human that you haven't monetized it before, but that's like
I'm just lazy.
You could update it, keep it up to date, run ads on it. $2 a year, $5 a year, no ads. It's not an like, you know what I mean? Like you would do that and you would get 1,000 people being like, meh, but then they would all end up paying because like it's, you know what I mean? It's like it would last 10 minutes is how long the outrage would last, and then
oh god, I wish I cared less, dude. I genuinely wish I gave less,
dude.
it'd be so easy to make so much more money, because then I would also make the utmost shameless clickbaity content on Tarkov, right? I would do the I'm exposing this partnered streamer for cheating, like the thing that I thought about that we talked about last week that I didn't end up doing.
Yeah.
Would absolutely do it, and it would, you'd get like XQC reacting to that kind of
yeah.
But like, I don't know. It's not that I think there's any shame in it, but it feels a little shameless.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of shameless, shameful. I don't think it is. There's like shameless, there's some amount of shame, and then like shameful is like full on shame. Yeah. It's like
shame light, Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's that. What's going on with Tarkov? Speaking of,
just your regular old pain and suffering.
As the Recoil, I know.
Yeah.
The Recoil.
So a lot of things have happened over the last few weeks. I guess not a lot, a few, but one was they did a flat Let's see, what day was it? I don't know. A flat 15% reduction of vertical recoil for all weapons. It was on the 16th, so a few days ago.
Is it noticeable? To me, 15% with how much recoil there is, my brain tells me you would never notice.
Yeah, so because it's a percent, it's disproportionately more noticeable on the guns that had higher recoil, right? Because 15% of 100 is different than 15% of 30, right? So like, because it's percent, you can definitely feel a difference. Like I was running an MCX the day before that happened, just because I like the gun. It's fun, even though it's horrible to use. And then that happened, and I logged on, and I had the MCX kit on. I was like, well, let's run it. And I was like, whoa, because I had just been running the MCX, and I was like, oh, shoot, like, this is cool. Now,
and it feels good?
Yeah. Now, the thing about the MCX is that the horizontal recoil of the MCX has always been bad, and that was unaffected. So it's, a little bit more of this, but it's still, so it's
like the AUG, too,
yes,
is probably
exactly.
the same.
So guns like the G36, the MCX, the SA58, you can feel it. You really can. Guns like the Mutant and the RD and the M4, you can't really. But then guns like, so the MP7 with subsonics or the P90 with SB193, bro.
Those are already laser beams, though.
The P90, yeah, 15%.
Well, the P90, for sure.
The P90 is, I don't remember how much, I don't care to look it up, but the P90 is like already at like, 39 vertical recoil. SB193 removes 20. So it's like effectively like 14 vertical recoil. And then they got rid of 15%. So it's like 11 vertical recoil, basically, is what it feels like. And it's insane. Oh, and also it's of the base gun. So like if you take all the attachments off a gun, that was the vertical recoil stat that was adjusted. So I don't know. So like most of the time, the meta guns, most of the meta guns weren't like, oh my God, this is so much less recoil. But you could kind of notice, but then some of the other guns like the MCX and the FAL, you could definitely notice the difference. So
what about the VSS and the VAL? Are they usable?
So what happened was then 2 days later, they were like, hey, here's another patch, and we've reduced the recoil of the VSS and the VAL again. Which was weird. They didn't tweet that out. That was sussed out. LOL. And they reduced it, so it wasn't by a percentage this time, or at least I guess maybe it was internally. Anyways, 15%, and then 2 days later it was so it was an 18% change after. So then 2 days later the old recoil base was 98 and the new base is 80. So then you can get it down to whatever. So the VAL and the VSS are all you are running into right now. Which is fine. I understand that will change, right? Anytime they change a gun, everyone runs it and then it just stops. But the VAL and the VSS are interesting. What I find so interesting about the whole thing, the whole situation is just like, well, what I find really interesting about the VAL and the VSS stuff is like, why? If we're going to do, I'm not necessarily mad because I'm not saying that like the VAL and the VSS as they currently stand are like OP and everyone's going to hate it. But I'm saying if we're going to deploy a change that affects one gun, I could come up with a list of 10 guns that needed it yesterday more than the VAL and the VSS, right? Like the MCX, the guns with this like horrendous horizontal recoil that's never, ever been adjusted.
No one's asking for the MCX.
No one was asking for the VAL either. No one. Especially after the 15%. I mean, I guess
there were people.
I heard that
I've got the group DMs with Nikita and had multiple people regularly saying, "Oh, the VAL and the VSS are still trash." Yeah, so
bro, those guys should get fired. It's not. Once again, it's not that they're inherently wrong. I like the VAL and the VSS being better too. It's just like, I don't know. There's just so many more guns. I don't know. There's my brain went on 11 different pathways. Maybe we can get down to some of them later. But ultimately, it's brought up a lot of conversations about recoil in general again, because like,
oh, good. I'm working on a video.
Because like, 15% is cool. I'm glad guns have a little bit less recoil now. But like, the two main problems are just the recoil system in and of itself, which we'll talk about, but B, the other main problems have been the disparity in recoil between the meta guns and not meta guns, or stock guns and meta guns, right? Like those have been primarily what people are complaining about. Yes, if a gun, like when they added the mutant, it was very much so overtuned, and they had to tone it back multiple times, and that was justifiable outrage because it was way overtuned. But it's like, it's the fact that if you're level 13, you're shooting Jupiter after your second shot, and if you're level 60 with a bajillion rubles, you know the combination of things that's 300,000 rubles that gives you the thing. So when we just do flat reduction across the board, it doesn't feel like it really changes anything. Uh-oh.
Wow.
It just went full downskis.
Yeah, I love it, dude.
Is it only during the podcast?
Hasn't happened once in a week.
What's happening, bro?
I wonder if it's like, is it possible the Discord call is responsible?
Is it my Discord? Am I infecting you with my Discord?
Dude, this is wild. Yeah, I'm just fully disconnected. Oh, reconnecting. And my chat window probably froze.
There it goes.
Yeah. Yep, the chat window's completely frozen, so I couldn't even see people spamming like F.
I can't believe you would say something like that. That was unbelievable. Unbelievably derogatory. Oh, hey, chat, you're back. Bro, dude, sometimes. Okay. Along that joke and going back to the conversation we were having earlier. Can you hear us, by the way, chat? 69 in the chat if you can hear us. You know how, like, when ads happen, people are always like, 6 ads, really? You know what I mean? Or whatever. Dude.
Or the volume.
Dude, sometimes I'll be like, quick, chat, if you can hear me, just start spamming, no way that happened, unreal, there's no shot that's legit. And then chat dude, people start going, what's happening? Because everyone that can hear that's like subbed or like just clicked in, they just start saying, no way, no shot, once in a lifetime. And we just like blow up the chat, bro. And then people are like, what the hell? And I'm just like walking through woods.
You troll. But wait, I thought on isn't it on Twitch? I feel like they did this and then they like did away with it. That used to be like picture in picture.
They were testing that for some creators and then they did away with it. And then now they're testing it again.
Oh, they need that, dude.
Brother.
With the amount that they run ads, which is, it's pretty AIDS, especially for actually, and they're also thinking about, at least I saw on Twitter, removing pre-roll ads.
Yeah.
Because I think that sucks, right? Like when you come in from a raid and then all of a sudden you have to watch, 3 minutes of ads. I'm like, I'm just clicking away.
It's just like, it's like, I understand the necessity for ads from Twitch's perspective, but it's like, they just like couldn't be doing it less elegantly, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how YouTube, the banner ads pop up? Why the hell aren't they selling those ads? Even if they pay less, I feel like creators would be okay with that. The little just banners that pop up and don't interrupt anything.
I think those, don't they do that?
I don't know. I've never, as a viewer, I've never seen those. And then like picture in picture ads, even if it mutes the stream. And then there is on mobile. Okay, interesting. And then like you said, pre-rolls, like, and then if you're going to do pre-rolls, once again, their own system doesn't seem very sufficient. And like all of the time, by the way, my subs will be like, why did I get ads? And I'm like, I don't know. I see you have a sub badge, refresh the stream, and they'll refresh and they don't get the ads. But I'm like, what the hell, Twitch? Like, you know what I mean? And it's not somebody that just subbed. I know that's the thing. If you just subscribed, you have to refresh the stream to let Twitch know that you have subscribed.
Even just resubscribe too.
But this isn't even someone that's been in chat all day, hasn't gotten ads all day, and then they just get ads. And I'm like, what? And then like, so it's like, so their system just isn't elegant. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know. It's frustrating as a viewer for sure. But sometimes you got to troll, you know what I mean? Anyways, Anyways, so what I was just saying was just that, like, I find it interesting that, so, like, I'm not trying to bite the hand that feeds. I'm definitely not trying to be like a Debbie Downer about anything. Every time someone's asking about how the recoil is, I say it feels good because I know a lot of people are really excited about it. I like that some of my favorite guns are a little bit more usable now. I'm definitely not mad about it. I guess I'm just more interested. Now, I know everybody have been told this a million times in Twitch chat over the past few weeks. It's like, well, they said that they're reworking the recoil, so this is just a temporary thing. Yeah, okay, I get it. You're right. But, like, still, like, it would take 15 minutes for somebody to be like, oh, these 5 guns are supposed to be, like, these 5 guns are really expensive guns that are aids to shoot. Let's, alongside our patch that just is Val stuff, let's make some changes to these guns too. You know what I mean? Like, it would take 10 minutes. You know what I mean? So I'm just interested. I don't know.
I toggled the stream off and then on.
Okay.
Because for some reason it
was just being weird.
Frame rate was all sketchy. I need better internet, lol. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Now, that's the guy that's DDoSing me every time I do the podcast.
Yep.
It's like the serial killers that like need to be at the scene of the crime after the fact.
They send evidence to the police department onto them.
Yeah, they get the rush out of like maybe being caught, you know.
Yep.
Good idea, yeah. But dude, to me, and this is what I'm working on with my video, is that like when I made my video that was, is Tarkov going in the wrong direction? You know, everybody referred to that as the recoil video, even though I talked about a lot of things, right? Yeah. It was the recoil video, and
a lot more things came out of that, like the movement changes came out of that video too. So yeah.
While I think there was an improvement,
yes,
every time they've toned down the recoil, I actually don't think that they have been steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
They've been steps in, not in a bad direction, but not in the right direction.
Correct.
The problem with Tarkov's recoil is not the amount, it's the design of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, this like kind of goes without saying I think for a lot of people, although I think the more we talk about a lot of these things, the more we find that there are a lot of things that we take for granted that we think are obvious, that maybe people talk about a lot on Twitch, that maybe, you know, folks on YouTube or who aren't like active in the online Tarkov community, they might not be aware of. But like the issue with the recoil, it's pretty, to me, it's pretty simple. The fact that a few guns, I think it's actually completely broken.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, if you have a stock M4 with the carry handle, and you shoot it full auto, like the front sight is not at any point in the middle of the rear sight. Like, it's the gun goes up like this. It's almost like the stock is on your forearm, your forehead.
Yeah.
It's not shouldered. So there are guns that have issues like that, which I honestly think are bugs. But the fact that the first, second, third, fourth bullets are just so drastic, and then after that, it's like, what you end up with is a random left and right bouncing, with also then towards if it's a 30 round mag, you get like rounds 18 to 26 have this extra weird bounce to it. It's just nonsense. Like,
nonsense
I can't even,
at so many levels. Because like I remember right around the time you did your video, Trey also did a video on recoil, and in Trey's video on recoil, he was referencing another smaller creator that did a video where he talked about that basic, where like the recoil is calculated as if the gun does not have a buttstock. Because if I was shooting a gun without a buttstock away from my body, the upward force would tilt the gun independent from my vision of the gun. It would go like this, blah, 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 blah. But that's the point of a buttstock. When I put it and I anchor it to me, you're exactly right. Like and you fire a base M4, it goes up but the camera recoil doesn't go up the right amount. But that's not, if it's a shoulder weapon and you're holding it, you'd go up together. You know what I mean?
It goes up and the back goes up
exactly.
too. It's
you're
like
minimizing by shouldering the gun. You're minimizing how much verticality it has because it's having to push a much more mass up. But also any vertical motion that the gun does, you're doing with it. So the camera, by and large, the camera, which represents the eyes of our person, should stay way more in line instead of this just like it's like there's no buttstock for any gun. So there's that. And then, it's like multiple design flaws. There's that, which I don't understand. I was talking to Trey today, and he was saying that, like, apparently it's like a thing where they have, like, the first through third or first through fifth shot vector as, like, a calculation for the recoil. Like, and then independently from that, you have the mechanic of the automatic compensation, which I don't understand in any way, really, because is it like, and this is what I couldn't figure out. I had been told in the past, and I couldn't tell if this was like made up from the community, but I have been told from the past that it's like the auto compensation is there to basically abstract the fact that your dude's like a highly trained PMC that would know how to like do the thing. If that's true, that's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard, because why, like, it's the only moment where you separate player agency, where you say, no, you are you're two distinct entities. You're not one entity. It's the only moment, you know what I mean, where you can do that. Why can't we lean into the fact that how highly trained my dude is when I'm walking up on a curb? It's like, well, I would do that, but not with this.
And also not only that, but not with the first 3 or 4 bullets.
Exactly. Yeah, he wouldn't be anticipating those first 3 bullets.
He's going to be way incompetent, like worse than the average person with the first few bullets, and then not even be a highly trained, like...
Yeah. So that abstraction is like dumb, in my opinion, because it's the only time it does that, and it makes no sense. But then like... But then what I find triply, like, so there's so many things. There's the fact that recoil is calculated basically as if every gun has no buttstock, which is dumb. The fact that the auto compensation only kicks in at the end of a magazine is dumb. And then the third thing that confuses me is that they've made changes in the game to combat what happens as a result of their recoil design. What happens as a result of their recoil design? Full auto, high capacity magazines. Because if you tell me that the bottom 50% of my magazine is my most accurate shots, whether it's a 20 round mag, 30 round mag, or 60 round mag, I'm going to hold mouse 1 for as long as I can and use the highest capacity magazine I can get my hands on. Because, like, it's actually a meta in the game to pre-fire before you've peaked to get the first 3 to 5 shots out of the way. And that's the most opposite. Ridiculous thing. And then they go in and make changes to guns, to the economy, to high capacity magazines, to recoil, to combat a change that they could just combat back here by not making the design of it so so that's my thing. It's like, if they were like, this is how it is and we love it and we want full auto meta, I would disagree with it, but I would respect it. But what I find is they're arguing with themselves. The design of the game, and then the economy of the game, and then the recoil and the thing, it's fighting each other because they don't like the meta that they created. And that's what I don't understand. It's like, either just double down and give everyone 100 round mags and make full auto meta a thing, but don't try to not make full auto meta a thing and then make recoil that only ever rewards full auto meta. I had an M4. I didn't have a stock HK. Veritas. I had a meta HK, a dripping meta HK in the hideout today because I killed a guy with it. And I was like, let's run a HK. And I was like, what would this bad boy be like if we like burst fired it? You know, I went in the hideout. You know, you get the midway target, and it's just like, brah,
is it like unusable?
Brah, brah, and I'm like, that's crazy. I was like, let's just you just hold mouse 1 and it's perfect. Like,
and then if you single tap, what you get, every other game, it goes bang, and it's either there's two ways that different games do it. It's bang, exactly where you were before.
Yeah.
You mouse 1, bang, right where you were, or it's bang, and it doesn't do it right.
Yep, yeah.
And so and Tarkov is the worst of all the worlds where you end up with bang and then it comes back down too far. So you end up with
to the left or to the right. Yeah.
Yep. So you would think that in a realistic tactical shooter, I mean, unless you're on like a M249 SAW providing suppressing fire across the mountains in Afghanistan, the Korangal Valley, you're really going to be shooting semi-auto, or
bursting,
or maybe and that is like the least arcadey, the least like cancerous, the most reasonable. You're keeping track of your ammo, you're being reasonable, and also keep in mind too all of the other things where it's like barrel wear and temperature and malfunctions and everything that comes along with it. All of that is primed to make it so that like if you click mouse 1 and you release mouse 1, like how there's a cooldown on your inputs where it like knows like the double tap versus single tap. If you go click with the mouse, it should be like boop, like no recoil whatsoever. On every gun should just be bunk, 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 and there should be none. It should be the way that like all of the DMRs in 2018 used to be, where you could go and it would just be straight back, and you could just like jitter click a million rounds.
I want so badly to talk to Nikita about it, because he doubled down. He said on the podcast, he said we're working on a design document to change it, but I like it the way it is. And I'm like, dude, you shoot so many guns. I'm like, tell me that your recoil, your three shot recoil out of an AK, a stock AK, isn't better than my PMCs. Tell me it is. I don't believe you, dude. Like, he's nasty at the range, bro. And so dude, I don't get it.
It's the equivalent of hearing Warren Buffett say, oh, honestly, like, most people have a lot of money. I like the fact that the tax system is the way it is. It's like poverty isn't a problem. Like I like the system the way it is now.
System we're in.
It's like.
And what was crazy is that like people are saying like he obviously hasn't played. It doesn't matter. I put this in chat. He was saying that while Demirka was trying to single tap a scav. I leapt up from my chair and typed in chat. I said, Nikita, watch Demirka and tell me you like the recoil, bro. I was like, you don't even like. He was speaking about it while Demirka was playing the game. I couldn't even. The irony of the whole situation, I almost threw up. It was unbelievable, dude.
I can't fathom, like, that's one of those just giant red flags that leaves me with no faith in humanity, no faith in the future of the game. Like, if Nikita says we're designing the recoil, it's been for a long time, but we've had other priorities, and it is what it is. It's like, okay, it's annoying, but I get it.
Yeah.
The moment he says we're gonna change it, but I like the way it is now.
I'm like, what?
Like, Nikita wants it so that every third bullet blue screens your computer, and if he was like, I like it the way it is. Like, I don't know. It's like I'm calling into question your judgment. I'm sorry.
This is one of the rare cases where like almost the entire community is advocating for more realism. You would think Nikita would be like, yes, you know what I mean? It's such freaking upside down bozo world to me. I truly don't get it. That's why I want to ask him. I'm like, bro, is there some freaking language barrier here? Like, can you take me to the range and can I watch you shoot? And then can I show you this video on my phone? Like, I don't get it, because it would make, it would like stuff like that. When people like, add more health or nerf ammo because then time to kill would be longer. I'm like, we don't even realize that stuff like this. Think about the time to kill. If the longer you hold mouse 1, the worse your recoil got, and the more unpredictable the recoil got. So you'd want to semi-tap, you'd want to 3-round burst, right? Freaking, we're just all getting full auto mag dumped from every gun, no matter what. It doesn't even matter. Valves with, you'll come across dudes, valves with firing. 20s. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Point firing that's the other problem. You put a laser on your gun and you point fire,
dude,
and it's exactly the same recoil as if you ADS. So why would you ADS when it's blocking your vision half the time?
Bro, I need to turn this into like a GIF so I can send it to people when they ask. I was doing research for a video that I did a while back. I did it towards the end of last wipe about like basically how strong point fire is and like you need to master the skill. And so to take it to its extreme, I took an MP7 to customs in an offline raid, and it was, I think, 25 meters. Like, it was just like far. You wouldn't really point fire this far even. And I did it, and I just point fired the MP7 with maybe it was farther than 25 meters, whatever it was. No laser, okay? I just point fired the MP7, and dude, the horizontal, like between the farthest left and the farthest right bullet in game was probably like 15 feet, 20 feet. Like, it was crazy, dude. I clicked on a laser, and it was a 1 foot circle. I didn't even realize. I literally was making the video to make the point that it was so OP, and I didn't realize how insane it was by just clicking on a laser. It's crazy. Point fire in this game is like, I should have virtually no aim punch when ADS, and you should get it all when you're point firing, right? Like, you should be rewarded for aiming. You know what I mean? Or just get rid of it from the game. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, it's just like, oh man, they're doing. To me, the fact that I still hear anybody like defending that any of the that we see regarding like recoil and weapon handling is like the epitome of realistic. I can't. I don't know.
And I just
can't take it seriously.
I don't even know anybody that does. Like, this is one of the things. I'm sure they're out there, right? I'm sure they're out there. Like, it's people.
Just read all my YouTube comments.
Yeah, people do it, but it's one of the things where I found the fewest and far between people who are like, yeah, no, this is way more realistic. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, it's just.
And what I hear from people though is it's less about like realism and more the people will say, well, I like it the way it is, or criticizing like my video and them saying that I want to make it unrealistic or I want to make it more COD-like, and it's like,
those people truly their only measuring stick is other games. If this system is in another game, it can't be in Tarkov because Tarkov fundamentally is the anti-arcade game. You know what I mean? It was like the same thing when this like very unreasonable outrage happened when they were like, "Yo, we're gonna add freaking airdrops." They showed that image and everybody was like, "Oh, there's airdrops in PUBG." I was like, "What?" I was like, "What even is that criticism? There's airdrops in PUBG?" Like, what? I heard that so many times. It's just like, it's in another game, and Tarkov is the anti-other games, and it's better and cooler, so anything that's in Tarkov is hardcore and whatever, and it's just like weird. But this is one of those things where like so much of the community agree, because this isn't even a thing that you can say, well, you just want to make it easier for the chads, because this by and large makes it much easier for the casual players, right? Because like the chads can afford to buy the 3 guns that have no I almost said no realism because I read your comment, that have no realism. The chads can afford to buy the 3 guns that have no recoil and run them permanently, right? Because they've got 60 million rubles. So it's like, this isn't even something that you can say disproportionately helps the chads, because it doesn't. It disproportionately helps everyone else. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. And I don't know the answer, right? Like, I don't necessarily say, oh, we'll just copy and paste the recoil system from this game. I'm okay with some randomness, because, right, you have some games where, like, the recoil is pixel perfect for, like, every time. Every time you fire an AK in this game, it goes boom, 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 boom. And you can learn that and reverse engineer it and have no recoil. I'm not saying that we need to go that direction, but just fundamentally flip.
I think like CS:GO and Rust are like the only games
and
where
Rust
like
even changed it. Rust isn't. It was a huge thing in the Rust community because they changed the recoil. But like, just flip it and let's start there. Let's start with your first 5 bullets are the most accurate, and it gets less accurate over time. Maybe you can add some randomness in there, and you know you're trying to compensate, and the attachments are still viable, but like, it's just we're so far away from being able to have the nuanced discussion of how to fix it, because like step one is like Control A, delete, and start over. And I don't know. I just don't understand how Nikita can be like, yeah, but I like it.
And to me, like the fact that he's like, yeah, we're redesigning it, but I like the current system. What I'm hearing when he says that is, I have poor judgment about how to design Recoil.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be involved in designing the new Recoil system. Trust me, it'll be better.
Yeah.
And I hate that I'm like, it's going to be dog shit.
Yeah.
That's my fear, which is why I like want to rush to make this video, because I really want to fundamentally break down.
Yeah.
These are the aspects of Recoil. It's like the first few bullets. It's what elements are there of randomness? What's it like shooting point firing, or aiming down sights?
Yeah.
What's it like shooting a single bullet versus burst versus, doing any of those things while moving?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like all of those are, and there's like twice as many elements that I want to talk about in the video that are all things you need to think about and consider. And so many other games, every other game that I have, because I literally have gone through, and it's like, there's games like CSGO, Valorant, whatever, but just because they're important in the shooter genre, not the hardcore first person, tactical shooter, but just FPS genre, right? But then there's also like Insurgency, even BattleBit. I've never even bought like Squad, but I want to get Squad and test it out.
Yeah.
And then, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2. And the fact of the matter is that like the recoil in every single one of those games are drastically different from one another, and they all feel good.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Tarkov's the only game that feels like complete and utter dog.
Yeah.
And for anybody who just wants to say, like, point and say it's a skill issue, I have no problems with it. By all means, you can think what you want. You're entitled to be wrong. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I think if it feels good or not, I mean, we have to admit that that's subjective.
Yeah.
Some people like torture. I'm not into that, right? I'm not gonna tell you that you don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm just saying that I wouldn't want like the federal government to mandate, torture. Tuesday as torture day, and you're required to take part in it.
That's a great analogy. I think that's
it's flawless.
That's a flaw. And the thing is that like the game is primed to. The game is already primed to like enhance, like. Here's how I want to say it. Many of the game systems currently are in conflict with the current recoil system. And the common denominator is if we take out the recoil system, these other mechanics are perfectly primed to enhance a different recoil system. If they flip it, then the overheating and the malfunctions already stand to help alleviate full auto meta, right? Like, and he spoke on the podcast about suppressor durability. And that being a thing, because correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not stating this as fact, but as I understand it, if I went 2 60-round mags out of an M4 with a suppressor, full, like literally just holding the trigger, full auto, boom, change, no time to rest, full, that would destroy that thing. You know what I mean? Maybe not some of them, but like that over and over and over again, 2-3 raids worth of that. And so Nikita talked about that. So like, there are features in this game that are already primed to enhance a different system that rewards waiting patiently, hitting your shot, controlled bursts, stuff like that. I think about like DayZ. I know neither of us have played a lot of DayZ, but did you ever get the water bottle suppressor with duct tape and an empty water bottle? You can craft a suppressor for a gun. But the thing is you can only shoot out of it like 3 times, 3 bullets, and then it pops. And so when you have that on and you're juiced and you don't want to lose your kit, you're so careful about when you shoot because you were like, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying we want a water bottle or oil can suppressors in Tarkov, but what I'm saying is fundamentally I like that that system the water bottle suppressor very much so enhances the DayZ experience, which is you're out on your own, you don't want to make too much noise. And so I'm not saying that we need that.
It synergizes with the other features.
We don't need those mechanics, but we have mechanics that are ready to synergize with a better recoil mechanic, but that it's not there, so they conflict with it. When you get a malfunction or when you overheat in the middle of a fight right now, you feel super frustrated because you feel like the only way you can win is just hold mouse 1. And then when you overheat, you're like, what the hell? That was, so
they want it. No, they want it both ways.
Yeah.
They want it both ways. Shooting 1 to 4 bullets is impossible. And when you shoot more, it should be impossible.
Yeah.
Because you hardcore game.
Yeah.
And like, sorry, but I mean, that's just bad game design.
Yeah.
It's just, it's thoughtless.
Yeah.
And see, that's the problem, is that so many people need to double down and defend.
Yeah.
Defend bad design.
Yeah.
Because they think that any of the improvements to the design is watering down the experience.
Yeah. Or improving the design in this way might cause this issue. And that's true, but that is not a reason to get around bad game design and get better game design in. Then you just adjust that thing, right? Like, it's not, that makes me crazy. So yeah, ultimately, all that said, bro, 15% reduced recoil on all guns. Sure, man. Like, it definitely makes some of the guns more fun to shoot. I'm not denying that. But, like, I just hope that they get it right with their rework. And there's not a whole lot of reasons to be too hopeful that they will.
Dude, I just opened up Tarkov just to see, because I literally haven't played in forever. And what I had was the kit that I was using for testing while I was comparing a bunch of different games. Because what I was doing was, pretty much every game I played has a Glock, an AK-47, and an M4. So what I did was, I want to see how shooting a Glock feels in all of these games.
Yeah.
Shooting a stock AK.
Yeah.
And then shooting like a decently kitted out M4. So a foregrip, like a decent handguard.
Yeah.
An EOTech, and like maybe a compensator.
Yeah.
Like, you can, with just those pieces, you can make a pretty sexy looking,
for sure,
M4. And it's like, all of those games, the AK had significantly more recoil than the modified M4, but they were all still controllable in different challenging ways.
Yeah.
And Tarkov is just this. And even the M4, I literally just went into the hideout and pulled out the M4. And the M4, it's not meta, but at the same time, it's like 180,000 rubles in modifications.
Yeah.
And it's garbage. Like, I would not want to take it in.
Yeah.
I would not want to take it into a raid. It feels like a complete waste of money,
And that's another thing, too, that I've always found super scuffed. You mentioned pistols. Where the hell is my auto compensation for that, right? You're saying that my dude's a Giga Chad operator, and that's why I'm automatically compensating for recoil. Why? Click on a Glock right now and tell me what the vertical recoil is if you have one in your stash. I'll tell you. It's 292. What? You're telling me that, like, my homie can't freaking shoot a Glock straight? I can shoot a Glock straighter than my PMC, and I've only shot very few times. Like, it's crazy. Pistols are one of those things where it's like, you would have so much training on a pistol. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Oh, dude. The one example that I need to, like, show to everybody, because all too often, so many people unironically use the whole, like, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
They still use the Call of Duty, you just want it to be arcadey Call of Duty. I have a clip of me standing, maybe 10 feet from a door with the AK, point firing, shooting full auto, and I think it's Call of Duty. And it's like 2 bullets hit the door.
Yeah.
It's just like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then you look at, a meta mutant with a laser, and it's it's this at 100 meters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I just don't understand how people can live in the same universe.
Yeah.
Like, it's either they're trolling, they're completely and utterly in denial. Like, or they just like watch some of the streamers that I've been watching that I know are cheating.
Yeah.
That use recoil hacks, you know, and whatever. Like,
and I think, like, to kind of close this out, all of the stuff we talked about, how the system itself acts as if you have no stock, and all of the angles and the vector of it don't make sense when you really think about it. How the whole auto compensation thing is so backwards so it would feel real. How all of the systems in the game, the overheating and stuff like that, how they are in conflict with the recoil system, how the modifications and all that kind of stuff, all those things add together across all the guns you have in Tarkov and all the attachments you have in Tarkov. And that's how you get the disparity of people who are like, we already have laser beams in Tarkov, and people who are like, oh, the recoil sucks, and people who are this and that, because it's like there's no consistency anywhere in anything. Like, do we have laser beams in Tarkov? Yeah, get a P90, put SB193 in it. But I don't want all guns to be like that. I just want it to feel like, because I think that's the core element. When you said, what you said was really interesting. All of those games, recoil felt different, but they all felt good. And it's probably because when you get in squad for 10, 20 minutes, when you get in Call of Duty for 10 or 20 minutes, you kind of just understand how the recoil works. And you try a new gun and you go, oh, this one's got a lot. And then you in 5, 10 minutes, you kind of are now decent at controlling it. You know, you get this one, oh, this has no recoil. 5 to 10 minutes. There's consistency to how the recoil operates and how it feels and the impulse your character gets. And in Tarkov, there's just none. In Tarkov, there's more guns, more attachments than any other game, and the least amount of felt consistency. When we talk about like a huge thing that came after your vid was they reduced the camera recoil for so many of the guns. And it's like, bro, there's no stat for camera recoil. If you're new to this game, you'd have no idea why this gun feels like dog nuts to shoot and this gun feels fine to shoot, right? And then they adjusted the 3-shot vector of some guns. It's like, what are we talking about here? Like, all of these things, there's just no consistency. And that's the thing, I think, when it comes down to it. It's like, and that's how you get people who are like, well, they just use these guns because they like them. And they're like, well, we already have laser beams. And then if you're a new player, you're asking, where the hell are the laser beams, bro? Like, I've got a Vepr, you know, where's the laser beam? So it's just like the consistency, not in every gun should have the same amount of recoil, but in how the recoil feels and functions. You get guns with crazy horizontal recoil and guns with no horizontal recoil. It's like,
what you're talking about is, and it's going to be the crux of the video that I at some point will maybe finish and make. Yeah. I might just lose interest because part of me is kind of sick of fighting the fight. But there are a number of aspects to firing a gun and being able to control it.
Yeah.
Some of it is how your head and your eyes move. Part of it is how your body moves in your stance. Part of it is how the gun is modified. Part of it is how you physically can feel and react to it. There's so many elements in real life to how you're able to, like, that separates someone who's never shot a gun before to like competition shooters.
Yeah.
You know, they are able to master all of these things. Some of that translate directly 1-for-1 into video games. Like how much, you know, your head moves. You need to be able to translate the fact that your head moves, but at the same time, your brain compensates visually by adjusting. It's like when you can run, you know, you can run, and first of all, like your head is like on a spring, but at the same time, your brain psychologically can adjust for those things. There's that, but then there's also the fact that, like, the example that I could give is, you know, imagine I could touch your hand and I could push in a certain direction, right? Imagine in real life, I started to push to the right, and your goal was to like keep your hand centered. You would feel and push the opposite.
Yeah.
And you would feel, because you would know the direction and the amount, and you could feel it, right?
Yeah.
In a game, you can't.
Yep.
So imagine am I going to go right or left? You got to adjust the mouse. You're already too late.
Yeah.
In real life, your reflexes can handle it.
Yeah.
But in a game, it's purely you see a thing and you need to adjust. But at that point, especially in a game that automatically compensates, you're already too late. If it goes up and to the right, you're like, oh, let me pull down and to the left. And then you're going too far because it's already
the game's
going
compensating. Yep.
So the thing is that every other game, because they're thoughtfully designed by actual game designers, the game automatically does the things that you can't do.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a physical connection.
Yeah.
And it leans into making you do the things that you can do that might be too much.
Yeah.
You know, like shooting. I've got a video. One of my homies, Uneventful Gaming, who I've talked about in other videos, and I'm probably going to interview him for this video as well. He sent me a bunch of footage of him shooting full auto, but also there's a 120-pound chick that's like, I don't know if she's also like special forces or whatever, but she's got a M249 saw and she's going brrr, brrr, and it's going straight back, and she kind of needs to lean in a little bit more, but it's like brrr. There's a little bit of movement like this.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah, she's not shooting the actual ceiling or the sky.
But in a game, if it's going up and to the right, you might have to, and I actually have a mouse cam for the video. I'm pulling back, down, pulling back, I'm like, I'm actually working harder with my mouse hand than I would shooting the gun in real life.
Yeah.
I'm moving it more, but you're moving a mouse. So the game can make you work harder for the things that you can control and not ask you and not fail to compensate for the things that you can't control. And Tarkov does the opposite.
Yep.
And it's simple as that.
I have the exact same note basically written down in a script that I'm working on about like PvP in general. And there's a section that I'm talking about aim punch. And it's the same thing, right? Like I was like basically where I wrote aim punch as a mechanic, so kind of like fundamentally at a 10,000 foot view makes sense. But in order for that mechanic to make sense, we're missing the most critical part of that, which is getting shot. Because you would feel your body tense in a direction. And if you were trying to fight that direction your body was tensing to get back on target, your brain can do that. But when you're shooting a gun and it's just like, bop, you're just like, whoa. And you try to, I've done that so many times where you're shooting and then it goes whoo, left. And so you try to compensate by bringing back right, and you get hit again and it goes farther right. And you're going, whoa. And you're way over the place because it's inherently reactionary, because what you're trying to simulate is a thing where I have no physical connection. So exactly, I almost had that same note written down where we're missing the fact that my brain and my body can process that information and automatically react to it. And so what you're asking me to do is just exactly, like a grid of lights, and it's like, which one's going to turn on? It's like, oh, this one's on. It's like, well, it's just random. Like I can't move my mouse to the one that's going to, I have no idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
So, so that's the recoil. Vertical recoil. They went back with the VSS. It's banging. I don't know. They've done a few other things. A few other super quick things. They adjusted they did a little patch where they adjusted the base prices for some items. They adjusted the weight of some of the backpacks. And then they adjusted some of the rarities of some items, which was interesting. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but like they actually gave a lot of information. This was really, really cool. And you can tell that it feels like they're going to come down on the data miners here soon. Because they're presenting this information to us. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like what they're trying to do is like build up so that we know we can go to them for this information, and then they're going to whoop-ah. I don't know if that's true. I have no inside sources, but it just feels that way. Anyways, the big thing that came out of this patch was just the was how cool it was that they were actually sharing the information, but the backpacks was a big thing.
They made them heavier?
No, one or two of them heavier, but many of them they made lighter. Like the Attack 2 was like half. It went from 6.1 to 2.8.
Dude, of course the first like 4 are all like almost doubled.
Yeah.
And then so it's like, wow, I didn't even look at the rest.
Yeah. Most of them got lighter. Some of them got a little heavier, and some of them still need adjustment. Like I think like an MBSS is bigger than a trooper bag or more heavy than a trooper bag or something like that. But a lot of them got lighter. Like the raid bag got halved. The attack 2.
It looks like the ones that were super light got like it almost like they got compressed.
Yeah.
The lighter ones were brought up.
Yep.
It went from the range was 0.6 to 6.
Yeah.
And now it's 1 to 3 or 1 to 4.
1 to 4. Yeah. Exactly. So that feels better. Some of them are a little interesting, but I was just like, hey, love the fact that they're actually like communicating this stuff. So there was that. Some of the backpacks got better. A big thing was the attack 2, man. The attack 2 was such a staple bag for a really long time, and you can get it off raiders and rogues, and so you can actually get it in raid, but it was like 6 or 7 kilograms with nothing in it. And that just like, especially early wipe or anything like that, like you're overweight with an empty backpack, you know what I mean? And so that
I always felt like with bringing in a big backpack, like I get the gist that bringing in a big backpack was like putting a target on my head for cheaters.
Yeah.
That was the vibe, always the vibe that I felt, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
It's like the subconscious thing in the back of my head where it's like, I would much rather grab what the fuck is it? Not the Pilgrim. The
Tri-Zip.
The Tri-Zip, the classic.
The way, bro.
I'd rather take and there's a bunch of backpacks now that are basically like Tri-Zip clones.
Yep.
That it's like, it seems like that's the sweet spot. And I don't think this entire wipe. I mean, there are raids. I mean, even the YouTube video I put out today, where it was like 9 fully juiced dudes, and I took everything I could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I actually had like a filling up a big backpack with everything raid, not once. And back in the day, it used to be 90% of my raids was going in and filling up the bag.
Yeah. Yep. So that is a little better. They did another change today, where they balanced some of the availability of different ammos and the crafts for those ammos. Not a whole lot of craziness here. They made some of the crafts easier. They made some of the crafts a little bit more expensive. They made like you used to be able to craft the BP for the Val, but now you can't. You can craft PAB9 instead, which is an interesting round. Most of them seem fine. Most of them seem either like you need more things, but now you get like 2, like the blue gunpowder. Now you need more ammo to craft it, but you get 2 instead of 1, and it's the same amount of time. So it's like, okay, even trade. Some of them even feel like a little bit better, like the BP one, or no, there was like another one I was like, oh, that's nice. The big one people are going to be frustrated about is M61. You need less things now, but you only craft 40 instead of 80. And it's the only way to get M61.
Dude, I honestly think that it should be like 2 days and you get 1,000. Because 40 bullets is 14 seconds.
It's bolty only,
you go in with 2 magazines and you die before you shoot a bullet.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so glad I took 2 days to craft this thing that didn't even last me a single raid.
The like, M61 is like...
That's why I don't craft anything.
M61 is M700 top load only, because it's just like you just can't. So it was interesting that they were doing stuff like that. That was really the only one that seemed overwhelming. Like people are like, uh-oh. They made some of like the SR2 ammo, some of it a little cheaper, some of it a little earlier access on proper. They made some of the MP7 ammo a little bit cheaper, like action and subsonic, not like AP. We still can't buy AP. So it was interesting. It wasn't necessarily that the changes were super significant. It was more that they're communicating the changes. It's always weird because I'm like, I'm wondering, I wonder how we arrived at these changes. Like, these are interesting. Most of the changes were just like, it wasn't like, oh yes, like we needed this. And it wasn't like, oh, this sucks. Most of them were just like,
The way that we
arrive
at
anything is going to change, really. Like
the way that we arrive at these changes is almost always someone tells Nikita, hey, I think you should adjust X. And he says, Yeah, okay, fine. Just give me a Excel spreadsheet with the changes.
Yeah.
And he goes, and as long as he might tweak some of the things if they seem egregious, but otherwise he just does it.
Yeah.
And with certain people, he just trusts, like a lot of the changes that came after like the Recoil video were effectively just like that. And not from me. So that's that's just the way it is, which again, like, is kind of depressing, because some of these, if no one mentions it, this could be shipped with 1.0, and it might just be like insert rando streamer's opinion here to
and it's kind of depressing on both ends. Some of the changes were really good, and it was like, why did it take somebody having to tell you this? Because like, it shouldn't be obvious. And then some of it's like, why does this person care about this or whatever? I don't know. But I don't know. It's there. Those were some of the changes. We got the Chronicles of Rigi Season 2, Episode 2, which was some cool lore. If you're interested in that, we got to see Rashala. And
I haven't seen it.
It's pretty cool. There was like some like in the background of some of the scenes where like some of like the fan-made art that people tweet out and stuff like that, like actually printed and posted, which I thought was just like really cool nod to like just the community. I was like, that's sick. It's cool. I think the lore stuff is great. I think a lot of people are just like, screw lore, let's fix the game, which I understand, but I really like it. I just think it's cool. So Chronicles of Rigi, we saw a maybe Sanitar. They talked about Therapist. I think we saw Ragman. We saw some cool stuff. I think that the way that they talked about the Chronicles of Rigi when he was on the podcast kind of makes me think that like this will lead to more in-game events. Oh yeah, we had the bandage event. Did you see that? Oh,
I heard bandage event a million times. I have no idea what. All I know is there was a website, that had the.
Bro, okay, so at the end of the first episode of Chronicles of Rigi in season 2, Rigi ends up like scuffed. He got shot in the arena. He's hurt. That's how it ends. And then an event happened in the game where it was like everybody got a quest from therapists, and it was like important patient was the name of the quest. You had to turn in bandages, the green army bandages or the white ones. Okay. And there was no like turn in 10. Yeah. And it wasn't like you need to turn in 10. It was just like you could keep turning them in. And then there was a website, and it was escapefromtarkov.com/bandage. And then it was like, remember the 1.5 trillion ruble thing where we all had to turn in money for the Lightkeeper? It was like that. And they needed 10 million bandages from the community. Okay. Like 5 hours later, somebody data mined it wasn't even found in Raid. Oh yeah, you could buy them from therapists and turn them in to therapists. Amazing, by the way. Like 5 hours later, the rewards for the quest were data mined, and it was like a measuring tape, peas, and like a green gunpowder, right? It was like, and so it plummeted. Nobody was turning them in. I didn't, dude. Some people spent like 50 million rubles on bandages. I turned in, I think, 30 bandages total, because I was like, I put 50 mil into that stupid 1.5 trillion ruble thing, and that didn't lead to anything. I was like, no. I was like, screw this. So nobody was turning in bandages. The counter was going up so slow. And then suddenly, it started going up by like 1 million a day. And I was like,
you think that was faked?
I think it was totally faked, bro. I think they padded those numbers so hard.
Didn't we also think that something like that happened at one point too?
Yes,
like,
but it was more convincing, in my opinion, this time around. And then they changed the rewards last minute. And if you turned in bandages, everybody got a meds case, like 5 levels in health, 5 levels in surgery, a bunch of propitols, and a bunch of green sims, the ETGs, and a bunch of grizzlies. And so,
is this
like,
everybody who? Just everybody?
All you had to do was turn in 1 bandage to get the reward, to get the quest complete reward. So then the price of all of those things tanked on the flea, because they were found in raid, because they were quest rewards, not like system messages. It wasn't like drops. Like we got this as a quest reward. So then the next day they banned the med case off the flea. You couldn't sell them on the flea because they were selling for less than Therapist buys them for on the flea. But the day before they were selling for twice what Therapist buys them for on the flea. But every single player in the game got one. You know what I mean? It was like 200,000 med cases flooded into the community. 4 months into wipe, so you probably already have one. So you went to go sell it, dude. And then like Grizzlies, the economy tanked. ETGs were half the price, bro. That was hilarious. The whole thing. So and then we got the Chronicles of Ridgey season 2, episode 2, which was cool. And we saw Rashala, which I thought was dope. So season 3 or episode 3, most likely this weekend. It seems like that's how they would do it. And then that.
Oh my God, it's a woman. It was so shocking to see a woman in the Tarkov universe.
Yeah.
That just.
Yep.
Wow.
And she mentions Elvira, which is Therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought maybe she was Elvira.
No, I don't think so. She mentioned was like
she's too young.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bad lifetime. Have you seen that? Did you have to watch that in health class too?
What?
She's Too Young is the name of a Lifetime movie.
No. What?
Total side thing. Yeah. My favorite line.
It's the name of a life sentence, not a Lifetime movie. Hey-o.
No, it's got the most awkward line in any show ever in the history. It's about like an outbreak of like STDs in like a high school, I think, or something like that. And this one girl is like she's the main character. She's so stressed out about getting an STD. That's all she can think about. And so she's sitting at the dinner table, you know, like eating food with her family, and out of nowhere, they're talking about like, yeah, this weekend we're gonna go to soccer. She says, I have syphilis! Just screams it.
What?
And I just remember all of us in the class being like, what the f are we watching?
I
like,
have syphilis?
Sorry, I that's just a throwback.
That
a
reminds
mini story
me,
time.
Have you seen the memes about like, I think it's like Transformers 2 or Transformers 3, one of the like Transformers with Mark Wahlberg. There's an entire scene in this Transformers movie about how like some dude in the movie is dating his daughter, but his daughter's only like 15. But then the dude is like, actually, in our state, common law, this, that, rule this, section C, it says, and then in the middle of this catastrophe that is, he pulls out of his pocket a paper and unfolds it that has the law written on it and hands it to Mark Wahlberg, who's the dad of this daughter. This is an actual scene in this movie. Like, it's the weirdest freaking thing in the world, bro. It's like so Monka. I don't know who the hell. Super weird. Transformers 4. That makes sense.
I don't think I never saw any of the Transformers movies. So
dude, I don't remember it from. I don't think I saw that movie. I saw something about it. Somebody made like a YouTube video about it, and I was like, what the hell? Anyways, so then Chronicles of Ridgey led to some of the ARG stuff, some of the augmented reality.
On a related note,
the Chronicles of Ridgey. Yeah. It's called the Romeo and Juliet law, dude. I don't know what the.
The Ridgey and
and Elvira. Yeah.
Rule 34.
You know, I'm sure it exists. You know the little Hackerman's ARG, the terminal, and all the stuff that was going on with all the events last year. So they spun that back up again, and it's delete system.
Are there bottles
elite
on the beach?
System 32, like all of the it's all this. There's tons of stuff, and they uncovered a bunch of stuff, a bunch of pictures. They ended up at a Google Drive folder that had pictures of like Rashala and Mechanic doing shady stuff and all this stuff. And
doing it.
Yeah, that was the Rule 34 stuff right there. That's how you get to the special time. And then there was security camera footage from labs where like Sanitar was down there, and then like some bunch of bears came in and shot up a bunch of people, and Sanitar escaped. But there was like no audio. It was all from the perspective of like the security camera. So I haven't seen, like, nothing is happening, but it's just cool lore-y stuff that Nice Guy and his dudes are hacking into the mainframe. So yeah.
Oh yeah, something came out 9 hours ago. Lab TG archive _ 6. Oh, gone.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. So
half of the comments are in Russian, and my gut reaction was to say, this is all code. It's all encoded. I'm like, not just Russian.
The comments are all in code.
It's a cipher.
Yeah. So yeah. That's it. I think the only other thing was we hadn't talked about yet, but like Axel's vid about exposing the cheater mans, which was interesting. It was interesting because it was like I watched the video and it was like blatant as hell. Like the fact that the guy's trying to defend himself and even posture that he would sue Axel is insane because the dude's clearly cheating.
Dude, I gotta tell you, like, the average person is completely and utterly dog shit at determining what's sus and what's not sus.
Yeah.
I like the number of times I have seen. I mean, I've talked about this before, right? Where there's been a number of streamers, generally smaller. They've all been smaller. Like 200 or less, average viewers.
Yeah.
That have ultimately admitted to cheating and whatever. And the fact that when I watched the gameplay, that it was instantly sus to me. And then I watch, and it's just like complete and utter red flags everywhere. And yet these people have hundreds of people watching them all day, every day for years, and nobody calls them out for it. There's the I think maybe I alluded to looking into somebody on the last episode. Actually, the guy that Axel exposed was somebody who I had already saw and was like definitely cheating, and I just discarded as like, he had like 800 followers, nobody knew who he was, and now everybody knows who he is. It's probably not worth looking into. Although you could argue like a lot of these people are involved in competitions and Twitch rivals.
That was a huge thing in
Axel's
video. These people came in like second or third in lots of competitions.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? The person that I had alluded to in my whole tweet about like, hypothetical situation, partner streamer such and such. I basically ended up reporting them to BSG. I'm obviously not making a video like exposing them. Even though every person I've shown the footage that I've compiled to, every person has said that, not that they're 100% certain, but like typically when I get a number, it's 98+%, which is pretty much where I'm at. To me, it's more blatant than the other guy with the recoil.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's more blatant. If you weren't familiar with how dog Tarkov recoil was, I don't think.
Yeah, you might not.
Someone
notice.
Who was like someone who's like a PUBG main or a COD main or whatever would watch the guy who Axel exposed, and would not ever think twice, never consider that the person was cheating.
Yeah,
but I think most people, I can't say just like most people, full stop. Because again, I've been watching streams and I've gone through dozens and dozens of days. Of 10-hour VODs, 8 to 12-hour VODs, and nobody ever says anything in chat. Nobody ever calls them out.
That's crazy.
And of course, nobody ever questions that clips are disabled. Why are clips disabled on your channel?
Why are you deleting your VODs?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just it blows my mind how many people can see stuff that to me seems blatant and they just don't see it. But then again, there are people who say that Tarkov's recoil is laser beam.
Yeah.
And it's like they're only looking at one thing and they're completely tunnel vision. Are they in denial? Are they lying on purpose and they're trying to gaslight? And like, I just don't know. I think people are just either don't pay much attention, they don't think very hard about it, they don't really care.
Yeah.
They just want to turn their brain off and like be force-fed content.
Yeah. I also think people really go after the salacious stuff. Like, it's a lot more sexy to accuse Landmark of cheating than a guy that nobody's heard of. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people have their alert on more. They want, you know what I mean? Maybe this is the guy they're just like vibe with this guy, but it's like they want to, or they don't even watch the people that they say are cheating or exposing or whatever. So it's like people want the drama. It's weird.
The thing is, oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's weird. It's in a weird spot for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting that like there's the meme in my channel about I've got 3 clips where there was the guy that was fully convinced that I was cheating, and he's like, I got 3 clips.
I got 3 clips.
I think he got banned before we ever got a chance to. I was like, unban him because I want to see the clips, and I think by that point he was already gone.
Yep.
And then actually someone even commented on one of my YouTube videos. I woke up this morning, like opened up my phone to see, did I get a text from my wife or whatever, and it was a YouTube comment that was basically saying like, Veritas, you use a radar. It's like, oh god, here we go. Because the people, they will see you were looking at your screen and then you looked off your screen.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you engaged with an enemy. The only explanation is you looked off screen to see where the enemy was and then you re-engaged them.
Yeah.
And then they see one of those clips in maybe 1 per video, let's say. And they don't realize that video encompasses 3 weeks of 12-hour streams, and it's like.
And then when they come into chat while you're live, they get mad if you're not reading their messages.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They get mad that you're looking at the game and not looking off the screen to read their messages. It's like,
yeah.
Hey-o!
But yes, I mean, like everybody that I have 100% confirmed is cheating, and also the people who I've been 98+% sure that I have not yet confirmed.
Yeah.
The best test for me is open up the list of all of their VODs, do this with the mouse and click, pick a random VOD, scrub to a random point, hit play and wait until the next kill.
Yep.
If that kill is really sus, you might be onto something.
Yep.
And the thing is that, people want to say, I've got 4 clips of Landmark, and they prove he's cheating. It's like, dog, you can get 4 clips of anybody. If you've been playing the game for 10,000 hours, streaming it for 10 hours, 14 hours a day, 6-7 days a week, you will get the clip that's like impossible to explain.
Yeah.
There are clips where it's like, I accidentally do this, and my mouse hits my keyboard and I head tap the guy, and it's like, oh, like that's happened before.
Yep.
And the only way that you can explain it is it's either the 1 in a million thing or I was cheating.
Yep.
Now the thing is that if I've done a million of those things and it happened once, well, it's the 1 in a million thing.
Yep.
So yeah, people need to stop thinking that they can cherry pick 2 or 3 sus things and then think like, because for the most part, the people that cheat, again, everybody I've seen, it's been, I basically fail to find many legitimate encounters.
Yeah.
Because the people tend to fall back on the cheats. They lean on the cheats.
Yep.
And when they don't, it's blatantly obvious. Like when you see people who are like, head tap, 3-man kills, lock, perfect. And then you see a scav walking by and they're like, and they miss.
Yep.
And they miss.
Because it's like
and then a PMC comes by and they're like, oh god, the pressure's on, hit the lock button. Yep.
It's like the guy said when you guys interviewed that dude from Vanguard. He was like, it's addicting. you know, everybody starts off with like, I'll just do it a little bit. I'll just do it this. Maybe I'll do it to win a tourney or whatever. But it's like eventually they all end up leaning on it as a crutch because it's like
it's muscle memory.
Addicting to be able to play and just always win. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Avoiding that I mean, I think people are more loss averse than they are like reward incentivized. Right? Like,
yeah,
you know, if someone is like, I can give you, I can't think of the example off the top of my head. I'm sure I'm going to get it wrong, just like winging it. But there's the whole, like, you know, if I give you $100 and then say, like, would you put up X amount of dollars in a wager? You know, like, would you? And people would be like, no, I'll just take the money and run. Right. But if it's like, you know, you can win $10 or $1,000 if you do this thing that's like much less likely. They're like more likely to do that.
Yep.
Than like a much surer thing where, so
yeah.
Tarkov is one of those things where it's like you're invested in a raid, you've got a backpack full of you don't want to be back at your stash.
Yeah.
So I'm going to toggle on. I'm going to toggle on until I get out. But then you get into the next raid, you're like, all right, well, I just got into the raid. I don't want to be back at my thing.
Spawn.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I would say that there's very few people that, you know, use it in the way most people accuse, where they're like, oh, well, he toggles it. You know what I mean? It's like, I just don't think that's how it is. I think people, they use it, they get addicted, they run it, they lean on it, they need it, and they do it. And exactly. And then Tarkov is the ever present threat of losing something, and people don't like losing things. And so, yeah, it's been,
1 week since you looked at me.
Yeah, no, it's been interesting because like somebody came in and was like, I feel like the cheating situation has been a little bit better, and I was like, that's cool, I'm glad. I was like, this is proof that no matter how many hours you have in the game, to an extent, your experience is anecdotal by itself, because I am normally a guy that's like, yeah, I don't really ever run anybody sus. I've had more like blatant shenanigans over the past few days than the whole wipe combined. Like, I was playing with Desmond yesterday, and we died to a cheater that was like pretty obviously cheating, and then we were in a 20-minute battle with a fly hacking stanky leg dude. We were trying to get him because any other person I'm playing with, dude, I just leave. But Desmond, I trust Desmond. He can kill that dude. And he did, bro. And he did. So like, then we got the tag and we were able to send the name off. You know what I mean? But like, it's just like, and then there were like 2 or 3 other scenarios that night where it was like, bro, like it was pretty insane. So
and you were playing with Desmond?
Yeah.
I feel like Desmond attracts, like there are some people who
I actually feel like he gets targeted.
Who just get targeted. And I think a lot of the people who are like actually legitimately cracked get targeted.
I know for a fact they do, and I hate it. I wasn't gonna say it because I didn't want to add fuel to the flame, but Tiggs said it. I know for a fact, like Tiggs he gets targeted really bad. It sucks.
Because like he's one of those people that like will send me clips of, you know, like 5 different fly hackers. I'm like, I've never seen one, dude. Like it can't be a coincidence. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, exactly. No, I really do think I think Desmond gets targeted. Yeah, high level players, high level gear. I don't run,
or just noteworthy names too.
Yeah, I don't run super juiced. This is super anecdotal evidence. I would be interested to hear like Desmond or Tiggs or someone's perspective. But I will say that like the amount of times I run an Alton and or a Reaper and or a Risti and or a Zabralo, and the sus meter immediately goes up, it seems a lot. Like it seems like you can like call to it. Like if you jump in with a Reaper and a Zabralo, it's like 50-50, bro. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So I'm running around like trooper armor, TV rig, tan U-lock. Everybody hates that. And for the most part, I'm chill because I don't react. Like when I die to cheaters, I don't really react to it. And B, I just suck nuts that most of the time when people cheat on me, it looks legit because I'm just so bad at the game that I can make a cheater look legit because I'm like standing out in the open and I die and I'm like, man, I don't know. That guy could have been cheating, whatever. So I generally don't have that terrible of an experience, but like, But being so close with Desmond really does show you how different it is. Because like Desmond will be like, it's so bad. And sometimes I'll even be like, dude, it's not that bad. Send me clips. And he'll like spawn in and then 11 shots to the Alton. Nighttime shoreline raid. FMJ, 556 FMJ. Less than 10 seconds after he spawns in. I'm like, okay, damn. Like, damn. Like, you're not getting full auto beamed with FMJ from that far away. You know what I mean? It's like, that's straight up. So it's it's weird out there. Everybody's experience is different, and it sucks. And it sucks because, like, obviously it's all a meta play, right? You know what I mean? If they're going after the guys with thousands and thousands of viewers, doing it consistently, it makes the game feel like they're everywhere. They're definitely everywhere, but it's just like it's all, I don't know. It's all just weird, man. It's all weird. Yeah. I don't know. But
I don't know.
But yeah, I just I play the game. We're trying to mold less and have fun.
Which is why I'm not playing Tarkov. Because I can't do either of those.
It's hard
right now.
It's hard. Yeah. It would just, dude, and it's just, we've said it 100 times, but it's just all the things, bro. It's all the things, bro. It's the desync and the shenanigans and the friggin' blunt damage and the collateral damage and the, it's all gonna get better. Next patch, Copium. I don't know.
Good luck.
So yeah, that's about it. That's about all the Tarkov things. Do you have any other things?
I don't think so.
Yep.
I don't think so. I'm still waiting for Diablo 4. That's
That's
I
June.
Need that on my list.
Is it June? July.
It's June. Yeah, they announced today. I think that there's another beta test for a few days, and looking forward to that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it like, because before it was, you were like gated on the first act, and you can only make it to level 25.
Yeah.
And like those games are all about end game.
Yeah.
You spend you get your character to end game as fast as possible, and then you are there forever.
Forever. Yeah.
So that's kind of like the most important thing. And honestly, a lot of the Diablo games are like kind of fun, like meh.
Yeah.
Until you get to the end game, and then they shine.
Yeah.
Tarkov's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
But D4 was actually like really fun and enjoyable.
Even while you were just grinding to level 20.
Even getting to level 20, 25. So
that's cool. That's cool.
So, yeah.
Next week we could talk about the Dark and Darker thing too. That was interesting. I don't know if you saw any of that.
Yeah, I think so many people have been getting that whole thing wrong too.
Well, like the lawsuit.
Yeah. It's been a little bit since I've gotten up to date, but I think so many people are on the Copium need to justify because we love the game so much. Yeah. And I actually think that I'm this might be a hot take or an unpopular opinion, but I think that like even though the whatever the big company is, Nexon, even though they might be scumbags, they probably have a pretty good case, and the other guys probably fucking did some really sketchy dumb that's probably illegal somewhere.
Yeah. I was thinking that too, where I was like, a lot of the sentiment over like, so when the case first happened, the sentiment was very like Nexon has nothing here, they suck. And then a few creators that were covering it in the past like week or two since they released this other thing have been like, it's starting to turn the other way. Like it's starting to look like it might be in trouble. I have no skin in the game. I think the game is cool. I think it's fun. I hope it succeeds because I think enough people really like it that we need that win. So I don't really care the way, but it's interesting. And it was just funny how they did it, where they released the beta test via a torrent, and the amount of people that were like, yo, I'm going to get a virus. Like, it's so funny. So many people like, and dude, it was just funny, bro, that like people
gonna install LimeWire.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, I understand like because of the way the internet is now, torrenting it isn't as mainstream. It's very much so still a thing, but it's not as mainstream as it was. And because of that, a lot of like the younger people only know like the horror stories of like the LimeWire. I tried to download My Chemical Romance album and I got porn and a virus. You know what I mean? They don't realize that it's just peer-to-peer sharing.
I never actually got the porn I was looking for. It was always just the virus.
It was always just the My Chemical Romance album.
Yeah, with like, what the dude?
So I found that to be hilarious.
Well, I mean, the original coverage of all of that stuff, and I'm not even going to get into like deep into this, but the original coverage of it was they're just mad that they stole a couple of assets and it was like an IP thing,
or that they shut down the game when it would have been a good game. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I can't speak to any of the specific laws
either,
and like,
yeah.
But all I can say is that every single software company I've ever worked for, the first thing you do when you accept a job is sit down and sign a. And the contract said, like when I was in the robotics industry, I could not go for 5 years, and I couldn't even work at, let alone start my own company. Couldn't even work at a competitor.
Yeah,
that's how most of these companies are.
Yeah.
So the fact that you leave the company when you've almost definitely stolen the source code, whether or not you're going to copy it or not, whatever, and then you go and make essentially the identical game, you're asking for it. You know what I mean?
Literally, I have zero idea about the whole thing. I think One Peg was named in the suit at some point. He put a screenshot, like an updated part of the thing, because like they were talking about content creators that covered it, like Big Fry and Kira, and like One Peg was named, which was funny. So yeah, I have zero idea. I don't know laws. I don't know game dev. I don't know contracts, what were signed. Nobody really does. But it sucks because I just hope the game succeeds because the game is cool and because a lot of people really, really, really love it. But I've heard that it might not be in the best of positions. So we'll see. But I thought that was funny. But yeah, not a whole lot of other stuff going on. What's today? April 20th. So they said in the podcast, maybe some sort of patch late April, early May. Maybe we get something soon. Maybe we get some more Chronicles of Rizhi. Maybe there'll be some more Tarkov news coming down the pipeline. Other than that, Subnautica, Diablo. Hopefully I'll get on some Star Citizen here soon. And I don't know. So yeah, that's about it. That's all the stuff. Thank you guys for hanging with us. All this, if you missed it or if you came in late, this will be live on all the podcast platforms and on YouTube on Monday. And you guys are awesome. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.